Hi everybody, Uber Lady Charlotte here, and I am getting ready to try my hand at a new segment that I was gonna call Uber Lady After Dark. This is where some of my stories are more on the risque side, experiences and things that I've been told and seen and done. So those stories will be of a, like I said, more of a sexual nature, more on the dark side, if you will, but tasteful. They're just stories, and a lot of them are funny. So be on the lookout for that, Uber Lady After Dark. I'm going to tell you one now, and then you just kind of tell me what you think about it. If it's a segment I shouldn't do, then I'll scrap it. I won't do it. But my sister and I were talking last night on the phone while I was on my way home from work, because I didn't Uber last night. And we were just kind of talking about brothers on the DL. Okay. Now my thing is this: if you're going to, if you have a certain sexual preference, then that's your sexual preference. Be who you are. Don't hide it. Just be who you are. I mean, what's going to happen? I mean, people going to judge you. You scared of that? I figure if you big enough and bad enough to do it, be big enough and bad enough to own up to it. Well, she and I were talking about at a time I had called myself running away from home. Now, I'm telling y'all, I was a bad kid. I was horrible. But all those experiences made me the person I am today. And I don't think I'm a bad person today. Am I perfect? Oh no. I got some stuff I can tell y'all right now. But anyway, this ain't about me, so to speak. Alright, so anyway, so I was living in a motel. I was about 15. And I was living in a motel with a guy who was 24. I met a guy who lived at the motel. It was one of those cheap, seedy motels that people live at when you're kind of in between places. So one day, he and I were sitting in his room, and this guy, he was gay, and he was real sweet, but he was gay, and we were sitting there drinking. But he started smoking too. I don't smoke. I mean, I wasn't smoking then. So he says, so what do you do when your boyfriend goes to work? I mean, I noticed you young. He said, how old are you? I said 15. He gave me the lecture on I should be back at home with my mama, and I need to get out to these streets, and ain't nothing out here in the streets good for you and stuff. So I'm listening. I'm sitting there drinking a beer with him. So he's like, you want me to tell you what happens to young people like you? And I'm thinking, yeah, okay, but I'm also scared. Because I'm like, damn, I'm in his room and we talking. Because my boyfriend didn't know I was in his room. My boyfriend was at work. So I'm thinking, damn, what are you getting ready to do? Because this dude is big. So he says, for example, he said, you see me go to work every day. I said, I do. He said, I never miss work. I said, okay. He said, and I work a lot of overtime. I said, okay. He said, do you know why I do that? I said, because you like money? He says, not that I like money. He says, what I do with my money. I said, okay, so what do you do with your money? He said, well, I pay for this room. He said, I could get an apartment if I wanted to, but I pay for this room. And I pay for this room for a reason. I said, okay, what's the room? He said, young people like you. He said, you're so young and so naive to the world. You don't know that there are people out there that don't mean you any good. So I says to him, I say, you're not finna try to hurt me or anything, are you? And he said, no, you're not my type. I'm like, okay. He says, this is what I do with my money. He said, I get paid on Friday. He said, and I go buy a quarter bag of weed. He said, I go buy some powder. He said, and I keep liquor beer in my room, as you can see. So I'm looking around. He had like a bar. Good liquor, the good name brand liquor. Wasn't the cheap stuff. House. It was the good stuff. He said, I do that for a reason. I said, what's the reason? He said, I meet young boys. He said, and yeah, they could tell I'm an old fag. That's exactly what he said. He said, they could tell I'm an old fag. He said, but I wait them out. I said, what you mean? He said, I see them every day. Downtown on the square. I see them every day. Same ones, standing around. They don't have jobs, so they don't have any money. I said, yeah, you're right. He said, so one day after I pick out the one I want, he said, I watch him. Then I step up to him one day. And I speak to him and all that. And he said they may cuss me out and they may say all kind of hateful, nasty things to me. He said, but I wait them out. He said, because it never fails. One day, I'll go up to him and I'll pull out my wallet. And I'll, like I'm looking for something so they can see all my money. I said, yeah. He said, it never fails. That draws them closer. They be like, oh man, you what you doing? What's up? How you doing today? He said, because I spoke to him every day. I said, yeah. He said, now they're coming closer. And he said, I tell them I'm getting ready to go and maybe get a couple of drinks and maybe, smoke some weed. And they always say something about, oh, for real? You having a party? And he's like, nah, I'm not having a party, but, I got all that in my room. So then he said, now, most times they'll go with me to my room. They'll come to this room right here. He said, they see all the liquor I got. They'll see the quarter bag of weed I got. He said, they even see that I even got some powder on the table. See, now they thinking, I'm finna use him. I'm finna have this party, use up all his stuff, then I'm gonna bounce. He said, they think they bouncing. He said, I let them drink all they gonna drink, smoke all they gonna smoke. They just can't take none with them. He said, I even let them hit powder if they want it. I said, yeah. He said, so then they leave. He said, now, going on down, through the month. He said, I speak to them every day. And then they get to the point that they say, can I stop by? He's like, yeah, you can stop by. He said, then they stop by. He said, now we chilling. We watching the game together. We drinking together. We snorting powder together. Smoking weed together. He said, they're getting more comfortable. He said, then, before long, I wait till they get so super high and super drunk. He said, it's my mission to get them sloppy drunk to where they can't leave. He said, then they pass it on the bed. That's when I have my way with them. I said, what? He said, that's when I get what I want from them. And then after that, I don't want them anymore. I said, so, is that like rape? He said, well, they give you consent when they're so drunk. He said, first I start out with oral sex. They like that. He said, then it leads into something else. He said, they're so drunk, they don't even feel it. I'm like, whoa, okay. So that taught me not just sit around, just drink and get high and smoke weed with people if I ever decide to do that. Because I got to be about my business, got to watch my back. Or somebody be on my back. Anyway, that's that one. Tell me what you think.